The following podcast is a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be sent to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.
Are you talking shift? We are. It's time for the We're Talking Shift podcast. Now. Here to talk shift are your hosts, Loree Bischoff and Candace Parisi. We're Talking Shift.
Hello, I'm Candace Parisi.
And I'm Loree Bischoff. And we're talking shift. What are we shifting?
We're shifting. Today we're shifting into talking to Tony Robbins, who is not our guest. But Tony Robbins, man, he's amazing. One day he'll be our guest for sure.
One day.
Nopra.
Nopra?
No, Oprah. I didn't say Nopra.
Sounded like Nopra to me.
Yeah, no. I'm a little winded. I just took a nice long walk. I was walking up a hill, and I persevered. I got to the very top.
Whoa. Oh, hold it. Did you say I persevered?
Persevered. Yeah, persevered.
What is that?
You don't know what that word means?
Is that a word?
It's when you push and you go farther than what you normally can do. Persevered.
Oh, girl.
Loree.
Oh, girl. Okay. I'm going to say this because I know you can take it. I don't want to get off onto a whole nother subject, but
right.
The word is persevere, my dear.
Persevere?
It's persevere.
Persevere.
No.
Persevere? I've been saying persevere
you're
was
so wrong.
Persevere. So I persevered?
You persevered.
That's stupid. That's a stupid way of saying that. I think we should have a petition. I think we should call up Congress.
Or a competition?
A petition.
A petition for what?
Yeah, to change that word, the persevere.
Okay. Again.
Persevere.
Persevere.
Man, I didn't even know that.
Now you know.
Thanks for outing
we'll
me.
Work on spelling later.
Yeah.
I know you appreciate it. I appreciate it when somebody corrects me.
Yeah?
Because, I remember, again, early on in my relationship with my beloved, I was using the word, it was like fall, and we were looking at all of the beautiful colors of the leaves changing.
Yeah.
And I commented on how lovely the foliage was.
Nice.
Foliage.
Yeah, like foil, edge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. And he said, did you say foliage?
Mm.
I said, yeah. He goes, honey, it's not foliage, it's foliage.
Mm.
I was like, oh, really? He's like, yes. I'm like, spell that for me. And he did. And I was like, I've been saying wrong all this time.
Jeez.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I aged one more day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And then I went and got an espresso. Right?
There we go. Uh-huh.
Instead of espresso. A lot of people say espresso.
Yeah, it's not X.
It's not. It's an S.
It's an S.
Supposedly.
There we go.
Supposedly.
I'm liking this subject. We could go on about it for a long time. Supposedly is a very commonly mispronounced, wrong version. Right?
Yeah, we're educating people one person at a time, one word at a time.
Yeah. So let's go back to the whole nother subject.
Wow.
That's my big
A whole nother subject. What's a whole nother?
What's another?
Another.
Like nother.
Everybody does a whole nother.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother subject. What are you supposed to say?
Another whole subject.
Yeah, that's too many words now.
Another is one word.
A whole nother. But nother is not a word.
Just the word nother is not a word.
Nother.
But it's used like like a whole nother. It's become its own word, but it's not a word. So there you go.
There you go. You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Now that we've just made everyone feel like crap. Everyone's checking all their lingo, right?
Yeah, that's not something that Tony Robbins would do. I don't think that he would correct. Maybe he would. He's pretty bossy.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
I like him too. Yeah. I'm into Tony Robbins. It's probably because he curses. I'm into cursing. I'm fucking into cursing a lot. And he does it. He doesn't like pretend or dance around stuff. He just comes at you very straightforward and honest. I like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff, and I know that when the documentary on him came out, what was it, like a year ago, I think, or year and a half ago, whatever. I'm Not Your Guru, and right off the bat, you know, there's there's some scenes where the documentary is filming him doing one of his massively huge events, and he's cussing up a storm. And so I've had a lot of people say, that just really turned me off. I don't get it. Why is that necessary? And but there's a very specific psychology around it.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't do that all the time nonstop. It's just not his everyday lingo when he's working and training, but there's a reason to do that for particular situations and circumstances that he uses. And if it jars
him out of the subconscious, right? It's a psychology thing.
It is a psychology thing.
You trained with him? Are you trained with
under his coaching program?
Yeah.
It was one of the coaching certifications that I did, and it was by far the most excellent. It was so awesome. I learned so much.
What was so valuable about it? What did you find was valuable?
Probably almost 10 years ago now. Yeah. Because it was a training program that, there's a lot of great programs out there, and I've done other ones, and there is nothing wrong with any of them that I'm aware of or that I've had, personal experience with. They're all, but most of them are more focused on techniques and methodologies and that are good. But his program, because his program is designed with a world-renowned, very well-known therapist as well. And they created this together. And so there's a lot of human psychology that you are taught. So it just goes a lot deeper. It just gives you a greater understanding of why, what motivates people.
Does he make you jump into ice cold water every day? Is that part of the program? Because that's what he does, right? He does like a breathing exercise where he throws his arms out and does that every day,
right.
And then he jumps into an ice cold bath,
like a water bath.
Yeah, he does it every single day.
Right?
Sure,
that's his morning routine. That's what gets him pumped up and ready for the day.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
The people that go to his events are separate. That's a different thing than his coach training program. Those are two. One is he's got his Unleash the Power Within, and he's got his big events that he does all over the world,
right? And
people go to affect whatever change they're trying to do in their own lives. Mm-hmm. That's like I don't know, like a 3-day event or a 4-day event. I can't remember how long. But I did his training program to be a certified Tony Robbins Madonna's coach.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing. And I don't believe that anybody is asked to jump in ice cold water. Although I've heard at his events that they do a fire walk. That nobody has to do that, but there is a fire walk.
Right. Tony's like, do it. You're not gonna pass unless you do it.
Across hot coals thing. I'm like, I'm on the fence about it. I think I could do it. I could, but I don't know. Oprah did it.
Damn right she did. Oprah does everything.
So maybe I'd kind of have, if Oprah did it, I guess we could.
Yeah. Well, I was in a training, in a teacher training, a yoga teacher training back in the day, and we had to get up. It was real strict. You had to get up at 3:00 in the morning. You did the first thing you have to do before you come to the class is you take an ice cold shower. And so freezing ass cold shower every morning, because it's supposed to make all your blood rush to the surface of your skin, and then you regenerate new blood and shit. And so I would do that every morning for 2 years. And then I would go to yoga for 2.5 hours. And I can say that I felt really good. I felt good about it. But I would wake up and hate my life every single morning. And I can't imagine if I was a dude. Right? There's a lot of junk that you don't want to splash with cold water.
Shock like that.
No.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't know.
I just don't think it is. No. I just don't think I think it's but I felt really good. I felt healthy. I get it. I get the idea. There's a whole community of people who jump in cold water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's supposed to do some shit to you. Why not? It shocks you out of your. It's the same thing. I bet that's why he does that, to shock himself into the moment in the same way that he shocks other people with cursing, where he's blah, and the person's like, what?
Yeah.
And then they, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It could be. Maybe there's probably a lot of great health benefits from it.
I'm going to call him and find out.
Yeah. And I think when he's doing that with a person, it's more about it's about changing your emotional state, because people are able to literally put themselves in a state. So like if you're somebody that's sad or depressed, people start to do things they don't even realize they're doing it, that puts themselves in that state. So they'll start to say things in a certain way. They'll start to language things in a certain way. Their breathing will change. Their whole body, their physiology will change. Everything will change in order to accommodate the state that they're in. So they put themselves in state. All right, in a certain attitude, a frame of mind, and it supports whatever it is that they're, familiar with. So if you're familiar with being sad and you're familiar with being depressed, you know exactly how to put yourself in that state. Yep, there I am again. I'm this. So when he does that, this is just one example. When he does that, it actually, snaps a person out of that state, because all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're not because now they're thinking about what he just said. It had such a energetic smack upside the head. That they've stopped thinking about the way they were thinking and the languages they were thinking, and whatever. So it goes into that whole thing about just changing state, and then you can start to get through to somebody so that they hear what you're saying.
Right. He's very motivational. He's great at it. He's studied it from top to bottom. And there's something about if you get up in the morning and you're fucking stoked on your life and you're just like, this is my passion and my life, this is what I love, then that just oozes off of you. And for him, he's such a huge personality and a huge amount. He's a freight train of momentum that he shifts and changes people's lives just by hanging out with them,
Yeah, I mean, you can't help it. If you turn on anything that he's on YouTube or whatever, and you hear him speaking about anything for even just a few minutes, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It has an impact. He's one of those people. And I think, why do you think, though? I mean, because he's so influential, is it just because, he knows his stuff? Is it?
He's also sexy.
Well,
yeah. He has a wife. Her name is Sage.
Yes.
I know. I checked in.
Okay. You checked it out. All right.
I don't think that that's the reason. I think that he's influential because he shows up. He just shows up 100% every single time. Like, you just know that when you're around him, something is about to happen, and that it's life-changing. He sets you up to feel really good when you're around him and know that something is going to get better or change. Yeah.
And I think that other people like him that are so influential, it's almost like there's a lot of common denominators, but I think a big one is all of those people that have the greatest amount of impact and influence, they just own their stuff and they believe it and they live it, and they walk their talk, and that that's where their power comes from, because they so believe what they're doing. They so believe in how they're being and what they're offering. There's no doubt. There's no shadows of doubt, and there's no, well, I'm going to say this for you, but I'm actually going to live a different way. There's none of that.
Yeah, he does the self-care for himself, and then he can, as a whole person, as a full cup, goes out into the world, and it's so much more powerful. I think that sometimes we have great advice to give to other people that we would never fucking do ourselves.
There's no hypocrisy with him.
Yeah, it falls flat when you're not doing it yourself. Right, it falls flat. I could tell you advice all day, but if I wouldn't fulfill it or do it myself, then it's just a bunch of words, but he's like a walking, talking machine of all the things that he says.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty awesome.
I do too. And you can, you can feel it with people. You can feel and you can know when somebody is being hypocritical. Even if you don't consciously know, you're not the real deal, but you can feel it. You just something in you knows.
Yeah, somebody's acting and assuming that you're stupid, because the person who's, acting and being a hypocrite assumes that you're not gonna catch on, and they're not, and I don't know. I think there's something more powerful about you just being whoever you are, your messy self, putting that out into the world. That'll be way more effective, whatever that looks like, than you putting on somebody else's outfit and being somebody that you're not.
Putting on a show, though.
Putting on a show.
But you're putting yourself up there to be, I've got it all figured out, but you really don't.
But you really don't. Then you go home and you drink a bottle of rum. And you hate it.
Yeah, misbehave.
You misbehave, right. You misbehave. You show up for other people, but then you don't show up for yourself. And the result of that is that you resent it. I'm sure that a lot of people have come and gone. And a lot of people have different motivations for showing up in life. And especially big name people, especially people who, really present something to the world like that. And if you're not all in on that, then you're going to fade. It'll fade away. It'll be very transient. He's been around since I was born, I feel like.
Yeah. I was reading and learning before I ever did any of his coach training. I was reading and learning about him and listening to his stuff in, I want to say, I think my first connection there was like 1982, 83. It was in the early 80s. And so he's been a big influence in that by inspiring me since long before I even took the training that he offered. Yeah. And he's stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He persevered.
He persevered. And he's still standing strong. Yeah. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. I can't say enough of great things about that guy. I think that he's wonderful. I'm sure he's wonderful all the way around in his life, and he lives a really cool life.
He helps a lot of people.
Millions. Yeah. What does he do? What is he up to? It's like 100 million people he feeds a year or some shit.
Yeah, that was his thing, because he didn't have a good home life growing up. That's his story. Didn't have a good home life. And, there was like hardly ever enough food. And, it was like, I think the story is something about Thanksgiving. They didn't have anything. And some stranger came to the door to deliver Thanksgiving dinner. And he was amazed that somebody cared enough to bring the family food. And they didn't want anything in return. Wow. And that was a moment for him where he went, wow, people care and they do things for you, just because they don't want anything in return, just because they care and they want you to, have something that you really need, like food. So he made it ultimately his mission to be able to, one of his big philanthropic efforts is to give back by feeding 100 million people. And he's succeeding. He has succeeded at it. So yeah, hunger that's just in this country. I mean, let's not even get into the rest of the world, but he's starting here where he lives, in your backyard, which I like that. I like that concept too. So start where you are.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it, we kind of stole his idea a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit we did. We didn't do 100 million, but we're doing 1 million. It's $1 a person. So if a month. So if $1, a million people give $1 a month, then that's a huge check to all sorts of different charities, especially small mom and pop ones.
Yeah. We are on like this great, huge mission to create a movement, a philanthropic movement, because we want to be philanthropists. That to me seems like, I don't know what could make you feel better than being able to give to someone or, some cause that is so meaningful and so needed, that needs support. But, if you're just yourself and you're not like a bajillionaire, you're like, okay, well, I can give, my dollar or my $10 or my $20, but you're like, I don't, I guess I'm contributing, but the impact is that. But if there's a million of us, and we only have to say, I'll give $1. But 1 million people giving $1 to help one of these amazing organizations, that is so meaningful, and it's so easy.
So easy. Yeah. And so that's where we've started. And I think our first charity is a secondhand hound. So it's going to be for a rescue center for pups. And every quarter we're going to have a different charity.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's awesome. And so if you want to be a part of that, you would go to patreon.com/talkandshift and become give a bucker.
Yeah. Click on the I give a buck.
I give a buck.
I give a buck. That's it.
I give a buck.
It's 10 dimes a month.
It is.
It's not that much.
Yeah, it's not very much.
But it will have a huge impact.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So
we have a new segment.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. It's the Dr. Shifters. Is that what it's called?
It's so new. It's
called the Shift Doctors. Yeah, we're doctors.
Yeah, so we've got some questions, don't we?
We do. We have a question from a young lady named Clarabelle.
Okay.
And she wrote in and asked the Shift Doctors, I have a question. I have heard of the concept of forgive and forget, but I have also heard people say, I forgive but never forget. So my question is, does a person that says to have forgiven but not forgotten, are they actually forgiving? How can you have forgiven but not forgotten? To me, it seems like there's still something there, a bit of pain that's buried. I don't know. What do you think about that, Loree? Clarabelle. Thank you, Clarabelle, for your question.
That is a excellent question.
Excellent question. Yeah, in my brain, how it works to answer it from my direction would be, say you had your foot stepped on by an elephant. It broke, obviously, your foot broke, and you'd get a cast, and your foot would heal. And it would be fine in the long run, but you would never forget the elephant. And so it's okay if you don't forget something. Like, how do you forget something? First of all, it's harder to forget something, especially when you're maybe not supposed to forget it. You think about it, but it's the weight behind it, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the for the situation, it depends on why you're remembering it. Are you remembering it because you want to make it's smart to remember not to get that close to an elephant now? So you learned your lesson. Now, I'm going to remember that. I'm not going to forget it, because if I get too close, I might get my foot stepped on. That's a really smart thing to not forget.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not going to hold a grudge against the elephant.
No, you're not going to be like, fuck elephants.
Right. But if you are, your boyfriend cheated on you.
Yeah.
And now, some time has gone by and you're like, whatever, I forgive him. I've moved on, but I'm not going to forget that cheating bastard and that, skank he cheated on me with. Yeah. I hope that, if you're remembering because you are still pissed or you still want them, you want some sort of, you don't want, if you're wishing ill will on that person, that means you really haven't let it totally go. You're still hanging on to it.
Dragging it around.
Right. So I think the whole point of it is, why are you not forgetting? Are you not forgetting because you're still kind of holding a grudge? You're still kind of haven't quite let it go? Or are you remembering it because it's a good lesson? Like, don't put your hand in the fire. You should remember that.
Right. You don't need it to rule your whole life. Now all men aren't dirtbags because one guy did you wrong. You don't want to drag that around with you. That's incredibly hurtful for your whole life. It's in circumstances, right and wrong, coming up in your life, you handling them in the moment, you can hold on to the lesson, and you can just decide not to forget. But I think that not forgetting something doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven them. Yeah, you could just remember and be like, well, that was a lesson.
Yeah, that was a lesson.
Not going to do that again.
Right. And honestly, I think that you want to make sure that you figure out where the gift in that lesson was. And if you decide you're just going to forget and you don't learn anything from it, that's the whole thing, I guess. I guess I'm making the same point again. It's like if it's something that hurt, whether it's physical because your foot got broke or it's emotional because their trust was broken, if you're not forgetting because you're just hanging on to the hurt, that's you're missing the whole opportunity.
Exactly.
So, it's you can't wipe your memory clean like an eraser board. You can't do that. So you need to put it in the right place. Right. If you're going to remember it, then remember it in a right place that is empowering, not disempowering.
Yeah, because you're going to fuck up too. And
yes.
you hope that person can forgive and hold on to it as a lesson, but not like sit around and hate you.
Right.
Like that is so draining. It takes a lot of work to hate somebody or to feel like that. Why do that at all?
Yeah.
And so we're humans, so we mess up. And I'm sure that there's, things that you've needed to be forgiven for by other people as well, and so on and so forth. And so it's just in you taking an empowering stance. That's what I think, Clarabelle.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really good question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Good. If anybody has questions, you to ask the shift doctors, which of course you do anything at all.
Yep.
You would go on over to our Facebook and go to the Word Talk and Shift podcast page and message us.
Yeah. Or you can go to our website, WordTalkingShiftPodcast.com, and go to the contact and send us your question there.
And we're going to answer them.
Yeah.
Because we're doctors.
Because we're the shift doctors. Yeah. So anyway, you guys can find us on iTunes. You can find us on patreon.com/talkandshift. So send us your comments and give us a rating, please, on iTunes. We look at that, and that means a lot to us, and we love to see your comments. So check it out.
Do you want to talk to Loree Bischoff or myself personally? You would go to wordtalkandshiftpodcast.com to set up a private situation. Yes.
Like a session.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Right. Sorry. Right. Yeah. And we're all over social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We're all over the place at Word Talking Shift Podcast. So go out there and make some shift happen, everybody.
You too, Gary V.
The preceding podcast was a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be directed to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.